Hey guys, I'm here with Michael Tandarich. This is going to be a little bit different episode than I normally have done, mainly because we're going to be talking about some tech heavy stuff and some marketing. But anyways, let's go right into it. Hey Mike, how are you?
Awesome. Good, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before. We're going to kind of keep this to um, ads and marketing, but kind of just shoot the shit.
Yeah, let's do it.
So
First off, dude, you nailed my last name. Like mostly people like always mess up my last name. And like
really,
that, yeah, yeah. That was great job. You nailed it.
that's I've had some guests so far that I actually had this with, and I started to say their name, and then they stopped me, and they're like, just it was actually Jason Hi. We'll just say because I still can't say his last name. He's like, just
Yeah,
call me
yeah.
Jason Hi. so,
That's
you know,
great.
I don't want to butcher people's names, but it
Yep,
happens.
yeah. Yeah, you crushed it. Good job.
Well, Michael, what is it that you do then?
Yeah. So basically I run a custom website and digital ads agency. So similar to some of the stuff you're doing on the website side, but we do a lot of different ad stuff. Throughout like the decade plus that I've done my agency, we've worked with Shark Tank products, a lot of ecom brands. We've done a lot of different websites. Huge marketing campaigns. Recently we built like an ecom brand from barely hitting 70K a month to 350K a month. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff with that. But one of the main areas we focus on is Google search ads for service-based companies. And yeah, we just crush it on that. And yeah, it makes sense,
Yeah,
but I'm happy
yeah.
to excited
So
to dive into that.
yeah. So I actually watched a training you did in the pit for Ryan Robbins, and I think it
Yeah.
was actually on service based in ads.
Yeah.
And that's something that I do websites as well, but don't really get into the ad part because it's a whole different world there. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's very, very in depth, and I know a little bit, but not enough to feel confident in offering.
Mhm.
So let's just kind of start off with like basic things that you would do as a service business starting out. Maybe you do or don't have a website, but we'll just say running ads on any platform.
Yeah. So if you're a service-based company, first thing you need is a website. So can you get by without a website? Sure. But like if you're going to be professional about it, get a website. Everyone's got one. There is the perceived value of your business is what I talk about a lot. So like if someone is getting referred to you by a friend or is a cold lead or something, and you don't have a website, they don't think you can do the job. If I'm being frank, so you need to have a website, and you need to have a good looking website that like functions properly on mobile and desktop and everything. I'm sure you talk about this all the time, but yeah. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing is if you're starting out, Google search ads like is should be on the top of your list of things that you do. And the reason being is that um, when a consumer is looking for a specific service, right? You always have to think of like what's the customer journey, right? And a lot of the times, if they're looking for a contractor or they're looking for a plumber or they're looking for a landscaper, they're not going to Facebook to look that up. Maybe they'll ask a friend, but like they're not going to Facebook, they're not going to Instagram. A lot of times what's going to happen, or majority of the time what's going to happen is that they're going to be going to Google and typing in landscaper near me or contractor near me or contractor in, I'm up in Michigan. So around
Hmm.
whatever town in Michigan, and that's what they're going to be typing in on Google. And what they're typing in is called keywords. So the big thing is when someone's typing in those specific keywords, you want your ads showing up for those keywords. And again, it's someone who is this client that I'm trying to get? What's their customer journey in finding my company? And then when they find my company and come to my website, what's their like how can I convert them as quickly as possible? Like how can I get them on a phone call as quickly as possible? And what's cool about the Google search ads is obviously you can track all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would say that's the number one big thing I would do if I was a service-based company is you need to be looking at the Google search ads.
Yeah. Well, that's an important distinction you made is when people are out looking, that's the first place they're going.
Mhm.
I usually tell people that they should start with social media and building their brand on there. I mean, very first thing, like day one, and work on getting a website
Yep.
and, Google ads in kind of in that same category, just because the more you're getting content out there as far as your business is, posts, pictures, all of that, people will see that, not necessarily that they're looking, but they'll be like, well, maybe I'm going to work with them at some point. So
Yep.
that's an important distinction. Like, if you're trying actively to bring people to you, Google ads are probably like the number one thing you can do as
Yeah.
far as after getting a website. So
Yep. They're your hot leads. Like I said, they're the ones looking for that stuff. And then the social media part's important too. Like, but the reason that's important is they come to your website, they, have that perceived value of your company. And a lot of times people will, especially if you're a higher ticket service, like they'll go to your social media to see if you're a real person or if you're active or if your business is around. So like, it's almost like this trifecta of like, hey, I have to have a good looking website that converts well for, perceived value, and then my social media stuff, I need to be putting stuff out because people are going to be, validating of if I'm a real business or not. And then, okay, those two pieces are in place. And I think a lot of people just stop there and they're like, cool, now I can start bringing in leads or people. And it's like, that's not actively going out and getting them, that's like complacently being like, hey, come and find me. But like, I'm not really doing too much to go out and get people. The Google search ads is like, hey, now I'm putting myself like right where they're at, and then they check out those other things to kind of validate it. So
I see that email lists are very popular nowadays.
mhm.
Where would you kind of put email lists in? Would those be run in kind of ads through your kind of cold market, like social media that's kind of just seeing you passing by, or would that be still kind of through Google search ads or what?
Yeah, are you talking about like running ads to that email list?
Yeah, I mean, getting people that way to cultivate kind of, I guess you would say your warm market.
Yeah. So a couple of things with your email list. So first thing is I would say in the ecom brand world, or if it's like an item that you can like continually rebuy, then yeah, like you need to have really work in your email list. If you're a service-based company, obviously the top of the funnel is those Google search ads, but like if you want to be really savvy about it, like you have a form on your website that captures their email list and you set them into an automation of like, hey, this is what happens. Like, when you work with us, okay, this is like blah, 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 and on top of that, if you really want to be super savvy, like your sales people who are picking up the phone, they need to be getting that person's contact info. So their name, their phone number, their email address, adding them to the email list. You need their consent, but adding them to their email list. And, especially if you have, like, if you are doing something where every fall you're cleaning up the lawn, or winter comes around, there's snow removal. Like people need to be reminded of that kind of stuff. So you send multiple emails out to remind them of that. So that's why it's important to have your email list is those are people that already know about your brand, probably already have worked with you. And you can start like landing a lot of jobs that way consistently each season. So
So I mean, sort of the reason why I ask is a lot of people don't want to spend ad money because they don't necessarily want to get new customers. Like, because there's a lot of times people going to Google ads, depending on what it is you do in your service-based industry, aren't necessarily
mhm.
going to be the people you want to work with. Um, it's kind of a hard thing to differentiate between those people, and I'm sure that you know how to do that pretty well, like differentiating between how serious people are. And that's one thing that a lot of people, a lot of contractors I know complain about is I don't really want all of these phone calls of people that aren't actually interested.
Yep. So one of the things we do is we send a call report to our clients on a consistent basis, based on what they want. Some clients get it automatically every single day. We always send a report at the end of every single month being like, hey, this is how many calls we got. This is how many form submissions we got. And this is your call report. And that call report gives you every single number that Google can track. But what's nice about it is, and this is when we work closely with clients that are keep that open line of communication, they can tell us, hey, this number called, but they were just a tire kicker, or this number called and they were just looking to get hired, or this number called and they like were looking for pizza. Like, they weren't looking for our service. So then in that case, what can happen is all right, we'll go back to that keyword and look at it and say, okay, how much money is getting devoted to this keyword? Should this be on the negative list? The negative list means, hey, Google, don't target this keyword. Yeah, because a lot of it plays into that. We have a client recently where they do semi truck repair, and we were running ads to truck repair, right? And logically, you would think, all right, where we're targeting and stuff, it's gonna hit these same guys that are looking for semi truck repair. But what was happening is we were getting people with Dodge Rams and F-150s and all that kind of stuff calling, and those are the people that were calling. So having that open line of communication with the client is important, but you can really refine down the keywords to get the target person that you want.
Yeah. And that's, probably experiences that would sour people, I guess, to working with an advertising agency or just running them on their own themselves, because maybe they're not necessarily running the right keywords.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this too. So like I used to work at an agency like 10 years ago. And one of the big things they did was they would design their websites so that, you can't edit it easily. And then they would do their ad campaigns where basically they would just set them up and forget them and then collect a check every single month. And a lot of people I see will pay $300, $500, $800 a month to a Google Ads expert or a Facebook Ads expert, and all they're doing is they set it up and forget it. So then, yeah, you are getting those calls that are like, hey, this isn't the right person. Like our base payment for running ads is $12.50 a month, and that's just the base. That's not like sometimes it expands from that. And we'll get people that say, oh, like that's a lot. Like I can get someone to do it for $300. It's like, yeah, you can, but like, you're not getting people in there, like having that open line of communication, like working with you every single day and checking your ad account to make sure that those issues aren't happening. So, yeah, I understand the hesitancy because like a lot of agencies do that. Like I would say probably about 90% of them do that, so.
Well, with the amount of marketing agencies out there, it's inevitable. And I almost think that all of those people jumping in and offering all these low prices has made everybody think that it's not actually that much work to just do it.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it seem like, oh man, $12.50 a month is, that's way too much. But if you're bringing in 3, 4, 5 jobs a month, I mean, that instantly, covers that. So it's really an interesting dichotomy there.
Correct. Yeah. And I mean, like we have clients that will, so like $12.50 a month, and then they'll spend $500 in ad spend a month, roughly. And they'll get great results from that. I mean, it's highly dependent on how much competition is going after keywords, where you're located, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we have clients that will get like a ton of calls and a ton of form submissions and land a lot of projects with $500, yeah. So that's another piece of it. I think the other thing too is like, there needs to be an understanding that like, it isn't a magical funnel that you just turn on and like, you just have a flow of all these magical clients that come in. It takes time, like it, as anything does, Google has to learn, who you're going after. Facebook, same way. And it takes time, it takes tweaking, it takes editing things. And, you're always going to get tire kickers or people that weren't, expecting, because that's life. You're never going to get 100% of every single call and form submission came in that was a landed client. So it just doesn't happen like that, And yeah, I've had a few people be like, hey, why am I not getting like all of these as leads? And it's like, well, that's why, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's just expected,
Yeah.
It's funny because people jump into concrete real quick. Everybody has a problem when cracks happen in concrete, but that's kind of guarantees concrete will crack. No one's going to steal it. It's not going to light on fire. You know, it's kind of
Yeah,
like those things. You're always going to have like, just scenarios where it's just not favorable. You can't always win every single thing.
exactly. Exactly.
So how do you go through picking keywords? Say,
Yep.
let's say you're a plumber and
Yep.
there's I want to talk about also if there's a lot of competition, but let's just say there's not a lot of competition picking
Yep.
keywords.
Yep. Yeah. So with picking keywords, Google offers an application called Google Keyword Planner. And it doesn't give you exacts, but it gives you an average of, hey, this is how many like people search this keyword every single month. And what we can do with that is, well, basically, so we break down our campaigns so that it's like cold keywords, location. And then, I mean, they all go after the same location, but like location words, competition, and then our own keywords. So if like your company was called ABC Plumbing, we target those. And the reason we do that is cold keywords obviously go after, hey, plumber near me or plumber in the area. The location ones are like, plumber in Traverse City, Michigan, and then the third one is the competition. And what's cool about that is we can go, basically when you sign on as a client, we have you fill out a questionnaire form, and in there it lists out your competitors. The reason we do that is we do a lot of background research on those competitors. And then when someone types in, like, let's say that your competitors XYZ plumber and you're ABC plumber, if someone types in XYZ plumber, as long as they got enough search traffic, enough, all that kind of stuff, we can have an ad show up above their website in the search platform, so which is pretty cool because then you start to pull in their traffic, so if a friend referred their friend to XYZ plumbing and they type XYZ plumbing into Google, and then the first one they click without even thinking is ABC plumbing, you potentially could pick up that lead. The big problem we see is that like the sales team doesn't realize that. And then the sales team will get the call and be like, oh, this isn't XYZ plumbing, boop, and hang up, and it's like, no, that was a potential lead that you could have locked in, and then on the opposite end of that, like we go after your own keywords because it's like, hey, someone else can go after yours, but Google's obviously going to give priority to you, but it's more of a defensive move to get your stuff there, Now, it depends on when you say the competition stuff. We'll have clients where they're like, hey, our budget's $500, but they live in a high, competition area. Okay, like let's break this down a little bit. Let's not go after our keywords. Let's not go after competitors. Let's find the really strong cold keywords and go after those. That way we're like devoting majority of our budget to that, because what will happen is like you're not devoting enough budget to the cold ones and you're devoting budget to your own keywords or competitors, and it's just not bringing in the leads that the cold ones could be.
You would get more specific and kind of almost niche down on keywords.
Yep. Yeah.
So you would kind of go after like your company specializes, I mean, saying home repair, not even like new construction or anything like that. Like you would just differentiate that way.
Yeah. Yep.
And
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, and the other piece I was going to say too is there's a thing called search impression share, which shows us like how often average it kind of your keyword will show up, or your ad will show up for that keyword. So that gives us a better idea of like, okay, well, this is showing up less than 10% of the time, but we're getting a lot of leads. Let's dump more money into that one. Or it might be showing up 30 or 40% of the time, but we're not getting as many leads. Let's ramp that one down, because you don't want to be showing up for like more than really like 50% of the time, because then it's just kind of like burning money,
So you made an important distinction there. If you target certain keywords, you can show up above competitors for their own SEO with ads. And I've noticed that a lot lately, and I don't really recommend people do high dollar SEO a lot of times, because a lot of people will just run ads and get above you anyways, and most people I mean, not all people, but most people just click on the first thing that shows up, which is almost always an ad. So kind of how do you do SEO? Do you do like extensive SEO, or
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up. So we used to do SEO about 5 or 6 years ago. And at the end of the day, uh, I made a decision not to go that route anymore for a couple of reasons. One, algorithms change a lot, right? I can't like tweak things enough to be like, hey, we'll most likely be on the first page every single time. You know, with ads, I have a way better shot at doing that. And the second piece is, and you said it perfectly, is the first like 4 spots are typically ads, you know? And if you're in the service-based industry, the next spots are Google or Google My Business. So it shows like a map and it shows like 4 or 5 businesses. And then it's the SEO stuff. So it's like, even if you want to be in all three, if possible, right? But if you're set up your website properly and it's been around for a while, it should naturally rank for that. SEO guys hate when I say that, but like it should naturally rank for that, you know? Say again?
It's true, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Over time. I mean, that's a bad thing about SEO is it's not instant. It's over time and how much content's on your website, how many keywords you have, and the best way to do that is building over time, anyways. So
correct. Yeah, yeah. And but like if you're paying someone to do SEO, you're pretty much burning your money, in my opinion. Like the reason being is again, it'll naturally do it over time. But then even if you get there, you're still below the 4 spots of ads and like the 4 or 5 spots of Google My Business. So like best case scenario, you're like 8 spots down anyhow. And you're probably paying your SEO guy like a ton of money to be on the 8th spot at
probably
best.
probably the same that you're would be spending on ads.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of it's more the aspect of like I want my clients to get the best results. That's why we've pushed towards ads, you know.
Yeah, and I pretty much tell people the same thing just because I don't see that big of a benefit to SEO being the only focus. Just and I also feel bad charging a whole bunch of money for that. I can't get behind it myself because
Yep.
I know it doesn't actually. It's not instant. It's not. I mean, there's so many other things that you can do that are better.
Yep.
So
Yep. And it can change tomorrow. And then all the work that you did will just be crushed and gone, you know? So it's like, because what you can do is what people do is they write blog posts or they send like backlinks from other websites that are about plumbing, like, and all this stuff. But like Google can write one script and be like, hey, search this website. If it's got backlinks from like clearly SEO sites, just crash its ranking. And it's like gone, you know? Like,
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that sounds dramatic, but like I've seen it happen. So it's
yeah.
like,
And that's I mean that's exactly what I don't like about it is you have to be so on top of keeping up to date with the rules, I guess. I mean,
mhm.
the algorithms, how it changes, and nobody ever knows exactly how it works.
Yep,
I mean, you might be able to get to the bottom of it and then it changes. So
correct.
it,
Yep,
yeah, funny that way. I pretty much
yep.
tell people when they get their website to write their own blog posts, and then we
Hmm.
optimize them, I guess, for SEO. I mean, we do keyword optimization stuff, and that like it's not flashy, it's not fast, but over time, that's how they
Yeah.
grow.
And I think the other thing though too is like if you're like, hey, where should I devote my energy? Like in terms of marketing and advertising, I would say if you're a service-based company, I would
Yeah,
say get the website done, do your social media, but then do your Google search ads, you know, and then your email list, and then Facebook and Instagram ads, and then like mailers and like billboards for brand building, you know, and then maybe SEO, you know, like that. I would put it like all, I mean, no one reads blog posts, you know what I mean? Like everyone's on social media,
yeah.
like, you
The
know, and
the only thing I see that blog posts help with is like if you're answering questions that people will go to Google to ask a question about, and then
yeah,
maybe that'll pick up like a cold lead or a warm lead where someone's just maybe interested in learning.
correct. Yep. Yep. So there's that aspect of it where it can be beneficial, but
Yeah.
for the most part, you're going to hit that person anyhow with that ad. So,
Yeah, I think if anybody listens to that list that is an SEO person, they might be a little bit
oh yeah, they
different.
hate me. Yeah. So like, thanks for opening the door to our.
Well, that's fine. That's I like talking. There's my biggest problem with all of this when I started doing So I don't know if I told you before, I was studying engineering, and then I
Nice.
moved to software development. And then
Cool.
when I met my wife, she's a web developer. So that's kind of how I got to here. So it's kind of like a roundabout way. And
Nice.
when I started getting into this, there were so many different like marketing agencies that were all saying completely different things.
Yeah.
And you know what you can see as results
Mm-hmm.
we've by what we've discussed already, where if you search something, Google ads are first. But there's so
Yeah.
many people that are like, oh, well, you have to have SEO, you have to do this, you have to do that. And it's hard as a service business to get any sort of knowledge or buy-in into technology and using, because there's a lot of guys that are just not interested. They're not
Yeah.
interested in a website. They're not interested in doing marketing, ads, any of that stuff, because they get referrals and they go, they do old school ways and all of that sort of jazz. And this is contributing to it. There's so many
Mm-hmm.
people out there that just, oh, SEO, oh, ads, oh, you need to do this. Oh, and it's hard to be like, okay, what is the best possible thing? Because you talk to one person and you're going to get a different answer than somebody
Yeah.
else. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Agreed.
that's what I wanted to do this about, honestly. I mean, clear some.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. And I think the thing too is like, yeah, it's hard because it's just like a lot of people just go for their best, what's that best for them, their best interest for them, excuse me. And yeah, it's hard to decipher like if that's the right thing to do, like, yeah, I'm dealing with that like with a bunch of real estate agents right now because I have like a couple real estate deals I'm doing, and it's just like it's
Yeah,
like
well,
clearly you have your best interest at heart, you know what I mean? And so it's just like it's difficult, to decipher that stuff.
yeah, it is. And the main thing, one of the main reasons I started the podcast is actually this is, you know, getting people informed about technology, because I think it's super important. You said earlier that if you don't have a website, I mean, you need one. And
Yeah.
I feel a little bit, snake oily saying that myself, since we do websites, but I'm not ever like, oh yeah, hey, come do it with us. I'm like, you need a website. I mean, everybody's going to the internet.
Mm-hmm. But I think
And
that's the thing though, is like if you can explain the backing of it, and like Grant Cardone says this, I believe, but like what you're selling, you need like you have to be like unapologetic about it. Like I'm speaking to you, but I'm also speaking to like literally everyone listening. Like if you believe this is the best thing possible for their business, then be unapologetic about it. I literally like I landed a huge deal the other week because I literally told the guy, I was like, your current marketing company sucks ass. You're losing money. Like,
yeah,
come on, And like I was explaining to him why, and it's like people people want to work with confident people, because it's just like those are the people that get stuff done, And if you're confident, if you know for a fact that what you're offering is going to provide them a better experience or a better product, then you should be confident. There's no reason you shouldn't be confident in it.
yep. Well, that's especially for trade service industries. I mean, super important to be like that. And a lot of people maybe aren't like, and any opposition, and it's like shut door, you know,
Yep.
any opposition to, and this is where kind of some sales. Well, I guess this is a good thing to ask. How many times have you gotten people real good leads where they can't convert because they're not sales savvy? Do you ever have to
Oh
walk
yeah. I
through
had a client
the
the
process?
other, yeah. So it's part of what we're thinking of adding in as a service. Cause it's like I had a client the other day and they're like, oh, like we're getting a lot of, it's kind of what I already talked about, but like we're getting a lot of leads that are from our competitors. And it's like, oh, okay, like land them, you know what I mean? Like that's not a bad thing, And I think the other thing too, just when it comes to sales is like, I think there's fundamentals of it, right? Like I said, you have to get their contact info. You have to get their phone number, their email address. You could add them into your world, into your ecosystem and remarket to them. So that kind of stuff's important. But like, really, when it comes down to it, sales is being confident and being friendly and just like having a conversation with your friend, basically. Like people always are like, oh, I got this script that's so magical, it's going to land a bunch of deals. No, like just have a conversation because people want to work with people that they like.
Mm.
That's it at the end of the day. Like, yeah, you need to get their phone number. You got to get their email address. Like, especially if it's like someone just came off a Google ad, like you're not going to be like, hey, Karen, thanks for calling. Like, how was your cat today? Like you're not going to say that stuff. Like you have to get their phone number, you have to get their email address, but there's no reason why you can't be you shouldn't be picking up the phone, being professional and be like, hey, thanks for calling Michael. Like, my name is Michael Tandarich. Like, how can I help you today? And just being like super professional about it, super like positive, upbeat, and like get them through the sales funnel. Be confident about your stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I know
yeah.
there's a lot of pieces to that, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, it must be frustrating running and getting leads to people and then having people not be able to convert them. I mean,
Mhm.
it's hard though. It's a lot of people that would be on the receiving end of the phone aren't very personable, I guess.
Yeah.
That's one thing I see in service industries. Like, nobody in the service or trade industry wants to be the typical car salesman. And you don't need
Yep.
to be that. You don't need to be that sales driven, but you need to be able to convert and drive leads. So,
Yep. And like a thing too is like I said, like just be upbeat about it, be confident about it. The other thing too is like having a process for your stuff,
yeah,
like people a lot of times like they'll call up and they'll just be like, hey, like I want to get a patio built. And like the contractor on the other end will be like, all right, well, like yeah, I guess I come out and take a look, like maybe Friday. Like no, it should be like, hey, that's awesome that you want to get a patio built. Like this is our process. The first thing that we do is we come out and you get an estimate. We'll give that estimate to you within 2 to 3 days. And after 2 to 3 days, what will happen is we'll send you a PDF estimate with a couple options on it, and you can decide. We ask that you decide within 3 days before the price jumps up, get them through that sales cycle. And then be like, okay, after you make your decision, we'll schedule you on our schedule and like have them out within a week is what we try to shoot for. And then that project typically takes like 3 to 4 days. And then once the project's done, like you get a thank you packet and final invoices due like before, and then that's it. Like, but that what I just said, like right there, obviously you have to refine things, but like what I just said right there, that gives people confidence. That gives people like, oh, this person, like I know they can get my patio done,
yeah,
like the first person, like, I don't know if you get my patio done. Like, I don't know if you're gonna show up on Friday, like you said, to come give me the quote, but like someone that's like comes out and like has that whole process and has that whole thing nailed down, like that's type of stuff. Like you're confident in your process, you're gonna land those people. Like you're super upbeat on the phone. This is my process. Like I guarantee, like that thing in itself right there, like that's going to make anyone that's listening to this, if you're adding that kind of stuff in, you're going to make thousands of dollars or more by doing that. I did it in my business like 5 or 6 years ago and like completely blew up, like triple or quadrupled my business.
yeah.
So,
Well, it's about managing expectations, really. I mean,
yep.
letting people know exactly what they're in for, and that's how it is with your websites, your social media, like across the board. Manage people's expectations. Let them know that you're professional, you can get stuff done, all that sort of thing. So,
Exactly.
well, we have a final question, and that is, what's up next for you? I guess that we covered that a little bit already, where you're adding another service in, but
Yep. So, yeah, for my business, just continue to crush it for my ad clients, get websites here and there, and yeah, continue to crush it for the clients. And yeah, I have 4 kids. I'm super into cars and all that kind of stuff. So, looking to spend more time with the kiddos. And we just bought a property with 13 acres up here in Michigan. So it's like, yeah, pretty excited to start dirt biking
wow.
again, all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So
again, oh,
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I'm getting into a phase where I haven't been dirt biking in a while, but I'm, getting to where I'm not so busy. So I'm going
Yeah,
to,
that's how I've been. That's how I've been. So
yeah. Well, where can
Sweet.
people go to find more about you and, maybe spend some money with you on ads?
Yeah, definitely. So you can check out or reach out on our website. So tandarichgroup.com. So that's TANDARICH group.com. Or you can shoot me a call or a text at 484-473-4717. And yeah, I'm more than happy to help you guys out with ad stuff. So
Well, thanks, Michael, for coming on. It was an awesome conversation. I know I got a lot out of it. So
I
hope,
appreciate it, man.
yep, I hope everybody learns as much as I did. So,
Sweet. Awesome.
yep, we'll keep in touch. Thanks for coming
Sounds
on.
good. Yep.